With a number that high, USAC runs much more frequently than most people realize. In 1993 alone, it sanctioned over 180 events, sometimes conducting as many as 8 or 9 on the same weekend. Sprints, midgets, championship dirt cars, and a variety of series on road courses all across the country. Since USAC's inception, all-time prize money has now surpassed $150 million. Beginning in 1902, major racing events in this country were sanctioned by the American Automobile Association. Suddenly, in August of 1955, AAA sent a shock through the racing industry when it announced that its contest board was being dissolved, leaving the world-famous Indianapolis 500 without a sanctioning body. Track owner Tony Holman quickly called a meeting of participants and local businessmen, and the United States Auto Club was created.
The actual first president of USAC, and he was very proud of this, was Mort Swango, Tony Holman's attorney, who formed the corporation legally in Terre Haute and took the role as president for the drive over to Indianapolis. And got to Indianapolis, a new president, the second president, and that was Colonel Arthur Harrington, who had been chairman of the 3A contest board.
The first race, January the 8th, 1956, Fort Wayne, Indiana, midgets indoors. And the first person USAC hired is still very involved with motorsports. Now, the Vice President of International Speedway Corporation, John Cooper.
Well, when the American Automobile Association announced in July of 1955 that they wouldn't be sanctioning racing anymore, a couple of promoters, Sam Nunes and Tom Marchese, called Tony Holman, and a group got together here at the Indiana Board of Health building where we're standing now. And this is really where it took place. Joe Quinn representing the Speedway, Mort Swango from the law firm that the Speedway had in Terre Haute. And it was decided to name it United States Auto Club, standing right here under this tree.
USAC moved quickly. Only a year later, it was conducting a 500-mile race in Monza, Italy. And in 1958, it debuted the first professional road racing series in the United States. Along the way, USAC made tremendous advancements in what would become the organization's trademark, safety. By 1959, fire retardant uniforms were mandatory. Roll bars were introduced, along with fuel cells and full roll cages. And there was no shortage of big names. Up through the ranks came Foyt, Jones, Andretti, Rutherford, and the Youngsters. Even after reaching 500 stardom, fans could still see them racing something every weekend. Although the face of racing has changed considerably since then, USAC is still striving to provide what Tony Holman asked for in 1955, an opportunity for grassroots racers to run frequently in the machine of their choice with the ultimate goal of running for the biggest prize in motorsports. Race number 6,000? Look for it before the turn of the century. For Speed Week, I'm Donald Davidson.
USAC. From 1958 until 1962, USAC conducted a professional road racing series for sports cars at tracks like Lime Rock, Watkins Glen, Laguna Seca, and Riverside. Winners included USAC regulars Roger Ward and Lloyd Ruby, while also visiting Victory Lane were Phil Hill, Jack Brabham, Jim Hall, Carroll Shelby, and even Sterling Moss. The first USAC road racing champion was Dan Gurney, and the last, well, take a guess. It was Roger Penske. We just love to go back and remember how some of our heroes looked early on in their USAC careers, like Roger McCluskey, three-time sprint car champion Larry Dixon. Here's Larry Rice in 1973. Rick Mears, 1980 stock car runner-up Rusty Wallace, Mario Andretti. Here's Al Unser in 1965. And can that be Gary Bettenhausen? Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr. Things will get better. Johnny Rutherford. Take a bow, Mel Kenyon. And thank you all for the memories. Activity is not just restricted to the racetrack. For the last 40 years, every successful land speed record attempt has come under the supervision of the United States Auto Club. Runs are few and far between these days. Richard Noble's flying mile at 633 miles an hour was recorded 11 years ago. And the record he broke, set by Gary Gabelich in the Blue Flame, was 13 years before that. In 1964, it went 5 times in less than a month. Art Arfons and Craig Breedlove broke it 7 times between them, between 64 and 65, pushing it all the way from 407 to over 600 miles an hour. On October the 2nd of 64, our third player had gone 413. Tom Green held the record exactly 3 days. So of USAC's formation, there was a move on to vastly improved safety. Just take a look at Pat Flaherty in Victory Lane in Indianapolis in 1956. He's wearing a T-shirt. His pant legs are splattered with oil, and the grime from the racetrack is all over his face and arms. Fire retardant uniforms would have become mandatory in 1959, and, well, they just don't come in looking like this anymore. It's raced for 20